Have you seen this podcast? Coming from the garden aisle. Have you seen this podcast? Aldrine, Aaron, and Kahai. This is the podcast. This is the podcast with lots of aloha. Here they come from Kauai.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ukulele on the Ground podcast. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. Joining me are Mr. Aaron, the voice, Nakamura. So what's up, Aaron?
What's up?
And Mr. Kahai, the legend for again. So what's up, Kahai?
What's up?
I was waiting for the camera to cut to you also, but we're still doing this. It's been like, how long has this podcast been? Like 6 years, 7 years, something? We're still doing this. We've still kept your face hidden in all these years, Kai. Good job, man. You've
Sort of. No,
we're still keeping it up. Still keeping up with this ruse.
No. There's definitely not episodes where I run on camera to do technical support or to fix something. No.
I mean, I think people think that they see you, but it's really just Bigfoot. Where like it's just a blurry picture of a guy in a costume, you know?
Yeah. I like how it's even to the point where it's like on open mic, there's regulars on open mic who are like, why isn't Kahai on? And other like podcast regulars have to explain, right? Like, oh no, it's a thing. You don't get to see him.
Yeah. He's like Santa Claus. It's like he exists, I think. You only exist to the good little boys and girls who believe. Well, welcome everyone to the Ukulele on the Ground podcast. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. What we do here is we answer any of all of your ukulele question. Answer is a weird word, you know. I don't know if we answer them, but we definitely say things about your questions. Say things at your questions, you know, to your questions, for your questions. We give you, you have questions, we have opinions about those questions. What we do is we get whatever questions we can get from the live chats. We can get questions from emails, from phone calls, from text messages. However we may get them, we try to answer it as best as we can. Kahai will read those questions to me. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. I'll give you my 2 cents, and the other two guys will give their 2 cents. And we'll try to give you the best 6-cent answer to for I guess best 6-cent opinion. Your question. I gotta be careful on saying answers because we just never know. Sometimes we give like definite answers where it's like, like is it a red flag, for someone to teach you ukulele using a guitar? I'm like, yes, that is definitely an answer and not an opinion. That is a huge red flag. But there's others where like, what do I use as a chord substitution for this? We're just like, no. You can use this, I guess. It's just opinions, and that's how it works. Might be wondering, like, why is Aldrine at home again? I had some family visiting. Someone visited from the mainland, and then I have another family member visiting from Oahu. I was a little bit late, just grabbing them from the airport, and then they headed off somewhere else, and then I am gonna go meet up with them as soon as I'm done with this. So instead of going all the way to the office and then all the way back here, I just figured it's just easier to stay here in central Lihue on Kauai. If you live on Kauai, especially that like Kapaa traffic, just like going to Kapaa and coming back is just like a good hour, okay? And then like prime time of the day. So with that said, Kahai, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah. You guys just had your own recital, right? So we
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
we'd
yeah.
do like maybe a recap about it, what went well,
Oh,
like
very good.
also maybe if you have any tips for people who are gonna do recitals or
Mm.
people who are organizing like groups for recitals or that kind of
Yeah.
thing too.
Or performances with multiple
People in it,
Mm.
performers. Yeah.
if you're the one who's like maybe, you know, like organizing people or getting people together, like what are the things that you do to try and help the people who are gonna perform?
Okay, okay. Wait, let me fix this. I feel like this microphone's getting lower and lower. There we go. So, first off, let me tell you guys about the recital that we just had. We had a recital for our AG Ukulele Academy, which is an academy that we have here on Kauai. It's an in-person lessons kind of thing. So if you're ever on our island, you can always come to the AG Ukulele Academy and take some in-person lessons with me. And that's what we had this past weekend. So we had our students, the general students and our Keiki students, which is the children. So we had kids ages 6 to 12. Do a couple of songs with the general, and it was a good time. So what happened was we had a couple of features. So Dawn and her friend Ed did little jazz number. And Dawn is one of our students. She comes and goes. She's from the mainland, but she comes to Kauai pretty often. She's been learning from us for a little bit now. Then after that, we had Yolanda and Carlin doing a couple of numbers, Europa, and then they did what was it, Autumn Leaves, which is really really cool. So I've been working with them on those two songs, especially Carlin. I've been working with Carlin for a little bit. So, and then after we had the general group come up, they did about 8 songs by themselves, and then for the last 2 songs, the Keiki joined in with the adults and did their thing. So it was a good time. I thought everybody did well for the amount of time that we had, but I thought they did really well for the amount of time that we have. So our school works like this: every 4 months, we do a recital, which is just to kind of show people what we've been working on. It's good for like for people to kind of set goals, because it's one thing to just kind of go and like and learn how to play ukulele, learn how to do some techniques and learn some songs and stuff. It's a whole nother thing to kind of like to be showcased, because that gives you a goal to work towards, where it's like, okay, our recital is coming up, I really should practice and get this down. It motivates you to get better. It motivates you to really get those songs down and iron out whatever kinks that some songs may have. Or if you want to be featured, just like how a few of our students got featured, then you can start working on some stuff. We do kind of the same thing here with Ukulele Underground as far as the open mic goes. Open mic is optional, but it is something like every month that people can kind of work towards, and set up some songs and practice and all that. Anything to kind of keep people motivated and keep people kind of excited to play ukulele in front of people, because that's really it. Because you never know if your performance is gonna spark something in anyone that is watching you. So maybe somebody out there might play ukulele, but then they've been shy. They're like, oh, I don't know about playing in front of people or public. But if they see you on the open mic, or if they see you in a recital, like, oh man, that like I kind of want to do that too. It just kind of inspires like a bunch of people to go and do it as well. So it's a good exercise to just go and play, and it builds confidence in you as a player. So with that said, that's kind of how that recital worked. I thought they did really well. Like I said, we've been working on these songs since September. Uh, our last recital was in September, and then like immediately afterwards, we did new songs and started learning some new stuff for the January recital. As far as like advice, well, we I think we did like 4 or 5 songs, because we don't learn a new song like every week. Sometimes we go over. Of course, we got to go over the songs again, and sometimes we do like special classes. Like in our school, we did the classes for like pentatonic scales, like circle of fifths and things like that, and like special techniques. So not every class is gonna have like not gonna have a song. So with the time that we had, I thought they did great. Every song had at least some kind of strumming with chords and some kind of picking. A lot of the songs that we did had different parts to it. We did a song called Heart and Soul. I'm sure a bunch of you guys are familiar with that song. It's like a classic piano tune. But I had some people do kind of like the left hand and right hand stuff on the piano, or is that boom 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 dun, 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 dun. So there's a part, there's a bunch of people playing that. There's some people playing the main melody, and then I wrote a harmony to the main melody. So there's 3 parts going on. My students were required to play all 3 parts, to know and play all 3 parts. And after the song is done, and then we'll go another round, and then they all kind of shift. Where like if they were doing the rhythm, then they would do melody, and the people who was doing melody are now doing harmony. The people who are doing harmony are now doing rhythm. We kind of shift like one to the right, like after, right? So we did it 3 times so everybody could do the same thing. So all our songs for the school have some kind of like maybe either singing or some kind of picking thing, or some kind of melody, strums and chords. So I try to keep it as interesting and as like productive as far as learning how to play the ukulele goes. So to prepare for that, we made sure that everybody knew what they were doing, what they were playing. There was tons and tons and weeks and weeks of recitals, not recital, but rehearsals that we had to do to make sure that everybody is prepared. If you are a teacher that is trying to put together an ensemble group and try to do a recital, it is very important to know a few things. Okay, so first off, in all the recitals that we've done, we focused a lot on intros and endings. So intros are basically, intros to songs are basically the first thing that the audience is going to hear. So you want to make sure that intros are nice and clean. If there's some kind of picking that's going on in there, making sure that everybody's got the picking down and clean. And then also ending, same thing. Either if it's even if it's just like a strumming, to some chords, but ending all at the same time is going to be crucial, because you don't want people kind of ending in different places. If you start and end together, it's going to make the world of a difference between everybody kind of just starting and ending like whenever they want. As far as picking goes, you want to make sure that everyone knows what part they have, what part they're playing. Make sure that everyone knows that the what I call the hierarchy, on ensembles, where like the lyrics has to be at the top, because the audience is listening, and the lyrics are what they're going to connect to, especially if it's a song that like a well-known song. We did a bunch of those, like White Sandy Beach, and we did like Kauluvehi o Ke Kai. So a lot of people know those songs and know those lyrics. So it's very important to make sure that the lyrics are at the top of the hierarchy, because that's what's telling the story. And then the melody line, whatever kind of picking, that features the melody, and then any kind of picking that has a riff to it, and then the chords like right at the bottom. So that's the hierarchy in terms of volume. So the singing and the lyrics are always going to have to be the loudest thing that you want to hear, and then the picking, and then the strumming. So make sure that you have that balance, because that's when the audience is listening to the recital, that's kind of the order that they're going to be absorbing the music with, right? 1 second. So another thing that we worked on is if there is a picking, to the song, we worked on kind of going in and out of those pickings. That's very, very important, because the in every song, if you're listening to a song on the radio, like the song is just gonna, it's gonna have this tempo and it's gonna move on no matter what. If you're playing a song and if you're gonna go from singing to picking and you hesitate even for like a, like for a beat, that the audience is gonna hear that, and the audience, that might be singing along, that might be grooving along, that's gonna throw them off. So that's something that you want to keep in mind, that you want to be clean as far as going in and going out of the song. Okay, so those are like essential things to work on, as far as making sure the arrangements and the songs are presented well. Another thing that that I would advise for people to do is to think up a like a s- you know just like putting together a set list of how people are going to going to hear those songs, or what order are going to hear the songs you prepared if you have multiple tunes, for your recital. For us, it's always like fun songs first to kind of get the audience into it. May it be like kind of a, like a happier, more like upbeat kind of song, and then we go to like to the slower kind of tunes, and then we ramp it up, towards the end. And that's why we put heart and soul towards the end, because that kind of showcases like the picking prowess of our, of our students. And we started off with something like, how can I get over, because I told my students that, yeah, like every other line in that song is how can I get over. So the audience will basically know the lyrics after you sing like the first verse, or by the time you get to the chorus, the audience knows. And me, as like, as the as the teacher, or as the conductor, of this band, I made sure that the audience was singing along to it. So I was playing with the audience as well, and making sure that they're kind of locked in, and invested in what the students have to do. Yeah. The kids came up and did a couple songs. So as far as kids goes, you kind of just have to make sure that they're comfortable with what they're presenting. You want to make sure that the kids know what they have to do. They know the parts, or at least comfortable enough with the parts. With the way that we did it, I had the monitor kind of turned. The monitor is what, is what the speakers are on stage, that is not directed towards the audience. So basically, it's just speakers that only the performers on stage can hear. So what I did was, I put my ukulele in the monitors, but not in the main speakers. So I would play with the kids to make sure that they can kind of follow me, or they had something that they can, that they can play with during the performance, to give them that confidence. But then the audience is not going to hear me; they're only going to hear the kids playing, which made it really, like a really cool presentation. Because the kids, I mean, like kudos to the kids; they really put a lot of hard work in there, and I thought they did a great job, like doing these songs, because honestly, we had maybe 2 weeks. We gave them like 2 or 3 weeks to learn like the two songs with picking, and these are kids that we've only had since like, I want to say November, like, or end of November, even not even like the full November. And they really, really, really did a good job, considering they got the music 2 3 weeks ago, and they've only been learning from us since November. They did My Girl, so they did the picking to that, and they did Island Style. They did a picking to that as well, like the intro picking to Island Style. And they liked it so much that they wanted to do more. So like we did a small little intro to the before we did My Girl, and it turned out really good. They enjoyed themselves. So another thing that I try to do is to make the kids feel comfortable, and give them like control over what they want to do, just like that. Like if they want to do more, like I'll give them more, but not like too much more that that they're gonna stress out about it, that come performance time. But it was some little thing that I attached to the song that would have them do a little bit more without doing like a full tune. But overall, it's just a matter of preparation and making sure everything runs smooth. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think, Aaron? You were there too. You were also a headmaster in that school. What do you think? How do you think our
Not
students did?
really. I try to stay in the background as much as possible. But yeah, everybody did a great job. And yeah, I think I was just proud of everybody. I think as far as like for us setting up the recital, I guess there we probably should have done sound check, with the first
I
two,
don't.
.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, we definitely. So the features that we had, we definitely should have done a sound check. But I hate to be that guy that points fingers. But I don't know if we, we could do. I think if we, how do I say this? Like, we could have done all the sound check in the world, but then the sound at Kukui Grove, it's
Just the
just
acoustics there are not the
it's just the
greatest.
acoustics there is just
Yeah.
not gonna work, and like the kind of equipment that they're working with and stuff. So I thought like we did the best we could, but yeah, definitely we should have tested. We should have tested them. I just trusted that the guy like could
Yeah.
pull it off. Like I
Well,
don't know
like
how to
just
say it without sounding mean. Like because he did his best with what with what he was given. So it's tough, but you know
yeah.
it was what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like just in general, I think we could have maybe shortened the lag time in between acts. So if we had maybe figured out that beforehand, but this was our first time doing featured acts before the
Yeah,
show.
that's true.
So
That's true.
it was kind
Yeah.
of set up for the group. Like the sound was kind of set up for the group, but then because we were doing featured acts, we had to sort of rearrange the positioning of the mics and figure out who's actually plugging in and who's using a mic. And so yeah, in the future we can, I think the takeaway for us, I think, is
Yeah.
that,
I
if
think
you're putting together a recital like that or a performance.
isn't that like the case with like every like live show though? Is like you prepare as much as you can, and it's like
Yeah.
the thing that you don't think of that it's like shucks,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just like
And
the,
then you'll learn from there. So
the takeaway is just like, okay, next time add that to my checklist to make like when I'm going down everything is like check. Okay, got that
Yeah.
one
Yep,
too. Yeah.
yep.
So
Yeah. It's tough, and like I wish I was put in contact with with the sound a lot sooner, because like I wanted to talk to the guy beforehand to make sure that he knows what was kind of happening, and maybe he could have given me some feedback of like, okay, well, we could use this and this, or this kind of amplification, for that, and he would have been more prepared. But it was what it was. But I think playing wise, and I think the audience like liked what they heard, and I thought everything went well. And I am very proud of my my students, and the hard work that they put into that show.
yeah, and I think people can tell too, right? When during a performance, even if it's hard to hear, they'll still be like, oh, it's like the speakers or it's the sound system itself. It's not the actual performers who are like not playing well.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we get it. Like it's like I can hear what they're trying to do, or I can hear enough where it's like, yeah, they sound good. Like they just sound good, and we just know that it's like the space or the equipment that's not really working. So yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
want to do questions?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna start off with this question from Jim. Jim sent me a private message, so I gotta
And it
read
has
this.
like a long preamble as per usual, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna. Jim sent me a whole paragraph first. I'm gonna cut that part.
Just give me the meat.
Yeah. So he said, what do you like? What to consider when deciding to play a song on a soprano, concert tenor, super tenor, baritone, as an instrumental in a group or as an accompaniment to a singer? What sort of songs work best with each size?
Yeah, or just how would you choose a particular size?
If you're
for-
gonna play a song, like how do you like match the song, I guess, to the ukulele size, right? Yeah.
especially in a group setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you're playing in a group setting, you kind of want to know like what everybody's doing, and knowing what everybody's doing, knowing what the song is supposed to sound like, or what you're trying to go for. and that's how you're going to tailor your sound to fit whatever it is that you guys are trying to achieve. So if you're trying to go for a specific like genre, a specific style of of music or a specific sound, then you go towards that. If you're playing a lot of like Hawaiian music, then you might want to consider playing a soprano, to really get those like those kind of traditional ukulele sounds in there, or even a concert. If you're gonna go, if you're gonna go big ukulele, you want to play something like that. You want to consider something like an eight string, or like a five string with like, or six string, even like something like that, where like it would match. And that's exactly what I mean. Where like you want to tailor whatever sound you're trying to go for with the songs that you're trying to do, or what kind of role is needed. If you're playing in a group setting, maybe somebody's already playing that. So, play something that kind of lends to what the sound is supposed to be. Like I think that's the best approach to it. It's just like, what does this song call for? Anything, just like with a when you're doing a recording, same thing. Like, you kind of just want to tailor the sound of your instrument to whatever the sound is that you're trying to achieve. If you can only bring one or two, then it's up to your best judgment of what's gonna be able to achieve all the sound that you're looking for. It might not be perfect, but if it's like close enough, but as for the sake of convenience of just bringing one ukulele, then you got to decide on that. Because for myself, I do that all the time. Like, I definitely have a bunch of different songs which would sound better with like different kinds of ukuleles, but I choose to use a tenor because I feel like that's going to kind of blanket like all the kind of sounds that I need. If for some reason, like worst case scenario, I would just like maybe EQ my instrument to fit whatever sound that I'm going for. But I think at the end of the day, um, you know, it, if you're thinking of it in that kind of sense, you're trying to like cater to somebody who cares about that kind of, about that kind of stuff. But if you're like performing, um, like, it doesn't really matter if you're playing, say, like a traditional Hawaiian song, if you're playing it on a soprano or if you're playing it on a tenor ukulele, like during a performance, like a group performance at that, where there's like a bunch of different groups, and you're trying to like achieve this sound where like, okay, this is gonna match with the kind of genre that we're playing. But if someone else is gonna play something that cancels that sound out anyway, it doesn't really matter, right? So out of like, you just pick whatever. Honestly, at the end of the day, just play what you like, what you feel like matches, and yeah, and just decide what's going to kind of blanket all the genres that you're trying to cover. But if you're trying to go for something specific, then go for that, if for your own ear. But at the end of the day, I don't think it really makes a difference, if I'm gonna be honest. Right? Like, I could be like, okay, so we're gonna play some like 1920s kind of music. So definitely, I'm gonna bring my soprano ukulele. It's gonna get that kind of sound. But like, if you're in an ukulele club of like 20, 30, 50, 100 people, does that really like matter that your instrument accurate, to the kind of music that you're playing, versus like 20, 30, 50, 100 other people who are not thinking of the same way that you do. So it doesn't just, as long as you have fun, man. Like, honestly, I think you're thinking too hard about that.
Yeah, Jim said the reason why he asked this is because he's considering what ukulele the soloist that I'm accompanying might choose. It will be her choice. In this case, it is a female voice country style song, but it is like, yeah, if it's her choice, then it's like, just you
Yeah.
bring ukuleles, like play it for her
Yeah.
or beforehand and let her choose. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, you're accompanying her, So the focus is gonna be on her, and then people,
Right.
is like less so of like,
Yeah.
oh, that ukulele tone doesn't really match her voice, especially if it's in a live setting, right? Is like people are not gonna be
Yeah, I
like,
mean, it goes back to what I said. You just gotta play what you like. She might be playing instrument accurate, but then like if that's not comfortable for her, or if she's not gonna play it that well because it's an instrument that she's not used to, then like, what are you sacrificing? Like, play what feels good to you. If
hmm
it's a performance, really the performance. Like I think recording wise, it kind of makes a difference. Not kind of. It makes a big difference recording wise, but live performance, I don't think so. And that's why most of us like live performers just play tenor because it blankets like a lot of the sound that we're trying to achieve. I
Yeah.
think
yeah,
And then you
yeah,
can
you're
tailor your
overthinking
playing
this, man.
style to or
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the genre or
yeah,
It's
whatever. Yeah.
it's more about how you play it. So
yeah.
like, if you're like, oh, I don't know what she should play, she should play this. It's like just how about you let her decide what she wants to
I think,
play, you know?
And if you're more comfortable on a particular
Yeah.
one of
yeah,
your instruments and it
Yes.
has a plugin,
Exactly.
then
yes.
maybe choose
I'll,
that one. Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I was gonna say too. Especially if you're just doing like a DI direct into the sound system.
Yeah, it
Like
doesn't it doesn't
I
really
don't
matter.
like it's the tonal differences between a soprano and tenor. Once you like plug it in and you're
yeah.
using the pickup, right? It's
If it's
like
not mic'd,
Yeah.
it probably won't pick up
mm,
too much of a
No,
difference.
no.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so at the end of the day, I mean, I know I said a bunch of stuff in the beginning there, and that's because I was thinking that like, okay, if you were like in a group, like
Hmm.
in a group set, because we're talking about our recital, right? If you're in a group setting of like 20, like 30 people, um, you might want to have a sound that matches whatever tone that you're going for, whatever genre that you're going for. But if you're playing in that where it's like plugged in kind of way, it doesn't really make a difference, man. I think you're overthinking
That's kind of also if you're playing in a group
it.
setting, right, with like other people too. That's also something to think of if you're like not gonna plug in or you guys are just performing like live for
Yeah,
whatever reason.
yeah,
uh, a tenor or a bigger size ukulele might be better if you're like leading the group or something so that everybody can
yeah, yeah,
there's more projection, hopefully people can hear you a little bit better. But
yeah,
yeah, again, it's I don't know, very almost minor. So
yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't
Okay.
really make a difference. Yeah, next.
Okay. Well, I gotta find some questions from the chat.
Mm,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Brian said, Aldrin, I see you bar D major with the middle finger. Do you keep the finger to fret pattern by barring C minor with the ring finger? So it's like your pointer finger is on fret one, your middle finger is on fret two, your ring finger is on fret three. I think that's what he's like saying, that's how you
yeah,
keep it.
no, no. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my ukulele here. So I bar with the middle finger as far as D goes. That only if, okay, only if I know that like if I'm gonna add something, it's either just gonna be here or something simple that I can add with these two. If I'm gonna add something a little bit more complicated, I'm gonna bar with with my pointer finger that allows me to add three fingers to it. Okay, so it's about follow up and where you're headed. But if I'm gonna follow it up with an A chord, say for example, I'm in the key of D. D allows me, D gives me the chords D, G, and then A, So I know that I have an A, using that pointer finger there to get to the A like pretty quick is the reason why. But do I do my C minor with the ring finger? No. I almost always bar with my pointer finger. Only because barring with your ring finger, there's no notes here that you can play with these two, and these are very important fingers, very strong, they're very capable, and you don't want to lock these. See, like no matter what I do with these fingers, it's still that C minor that you're gonna hear, and it's like it's the pinky is pretty weak. If you're using your ring finger to bar, that's like putting all your strength here, and the pinky finger is actually super weak to follow it up with anything. That means you can't add any extensions to it. So when I bar, so it's going to be pointer finger to add whatever extension that I have, and I'm not like locking out any fingers. Am I locking out the pointer finger here? No, because I can always add It always has a job, yeah. And then once again, it has a job when I get to the when I get to the A. For some reason, if I said almost always, that would not always, almost always. If I am gonna do that with my ring finger, it's probably because I'm only there for a second, and I'm gonna go to like a B flat or something. Like there's a follow through that that needs to that I need to use my ring finger to bar. Okay, so that's probably pretty rare. So that's when I would use my ring finger to bar. So I would say like almost always I use my pointer finger, but there are some rare instances where I do use the middle or the ring finger or whatever it may be. Okay, so but rule-wise, like you don't want to lock out your fingers, because if you do that, you're locking out like some very important fingers to follow up your chord with. Because you always want to play the chord, and if the chord lasts too long, you want to add a little bit of extension in there so that people are not hearing the same chord for like 8 beats, right?
Yeah. And you don't always play the D chord barred like that.
No. It really depends on the situation. So, like I said, I played D chord with this, played D chord with that, or I played D chord with these three, or sometimes I play with these three. Who knows? Like it depends on the situation. Sometimes it's like these two and this ring finger, for example. There's something that I gotta do. So, even if it's the same exact finger in which is 2 2, or same exact notes 2 2 2 0, there's like different fingerings. Have at least like 2 or 3 different ways to play any one chord. So like this D, this D, this D, this D, this D, like this D with these two. So there's always, they're the same 2 2 2 0, right? So, or this G and this G, that G, whatever. Yeah. So it's things like that. You want to be, and it really depends on the situation of the song, of what you're going to follow or lead, whatever chord or notes leading up to that chord. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like a blanket, like, oh, this is, like I'm going to play it like this every time, because no, it changes every song.
And people want like fast and hard rules, but if you really don't know like how to play the chord in like a like the efficient way for a particular song, try to look for somebody who can play that song pretty well. Like they switch chords easily. They look like they're not having a hard time switching chords and everything. And then copy how they hold the chords, because they most likely hold it in a way that makes it easy for them. So Chris Caldwell said, any good suggestions for robust, full-sounding tenor ukes if I can't afford one of the 4 K brands? And then kind of like people in the chat were asking about that, like what K brand do you want, or like what's your price point and everything. And so he said he came back and he said like Kanilea or Kamaka. And then he said under 750 if at possible, or a ballpark 1K below. So
okay, I mean you have a lot of choices with like 1K or below, but for the most part, I think you want to look into materials, in that kind of direction. Because the thing with the K brands, they do sound robust. They do sound, like really good. There's reasons why, they're like $2,000 and up, right? But for half the price, you can get something similar. Like a lot of the brands and ukuleles nowadays, like that company is not going to survive if you're not making good ukuleles, because there's so much ukuleles being made that only like the good ones, will last, basically. If they're not making a quality instrument, they're not going to be around for too long. So my best suggestion is to look into the types of materials and wood and stuff that makes the kind of sound that you're looking for. Okay, so if you like Kamaka, if you like Kanilea, Kamaka's more like middle of the road, where like it's got some bright tones in there, it's got some nice dark tones in there as well. Kanilea, it's got more of like the darker, warmer tones than there are bright ones. Not saying they don't have bright sounding Kanileas, but they're more on the like that kind of warmer, like darker sound. Okay, I feel like Kamaka is right there in the middle, and Aloha is right there at the top with very bright sound. So that's kind of the spectrum that you're looking at. So if you want a Kamaka or a Kanilea, then you want to look into like what kind of materials, what kind of wood tops that will give you that kind of, the kind of warm sound of a kanilea, or a kind of warm and bright sound of a kamaku ukulele. So, I mean, as far as brands goes, like there's tons, because they're all gonna sound different. I can't just be like this brand or that brand. We're talking materials, yeah, of what kind of wood you're going with. I think that's what you should look into, rather than like which brand should I get that's going to give me the closest sound to whatever. They're all gonna sound, all the brands at that $750 to $1,000 range is definitely gonna, they're gonna give you at least do your, if you do enough research, the kind that like that people are raving about, those are gonna give you that kind of sound. And it just depends on the materials. If you really want like a name to, to look for, Kanilea does have the Islander brand, which is, like they try to build it as close to a Kanilea as possible, and those are relatively cheap. Those are like, under like $300. So it's not like you're spending a lot of money to get like, a Kanilea kind of clone that's actually produced by Kanilea. So, and if you want something like a Kalmaka, I would suggest looking into there's like Inue has like, has ukuleles in that range that might be similar. I know Ohana has some ukuleles in that similar range. I mean, Kala's definitely doing some good stuff. That might be comparable. But my best advice to you is to go to the music store and just try them out. I mean, if you're lucky enough, or lucky enough to have a music store close by that has these brands. If not, then look up sound samples like online and just go for what sounds good to you, because that's going to give you an idea of what what those ukuleles sound like. But for the most part, research what kind of woods you'd be into as far as sound, as far as look goes. If you're going for a Kamaka ukulele, Kanile ukulele, they're all using koa, so you might want to look into a sub 1K ukulele that's at least made out of koa. Bonus points if it's like a solid top, that's gonna get you a closer sound to what those guys sound like. But you also don't want to judge it if you have a solid top. You don't want to judge it off of like what it sounds like, brand new, because if it's a solid top, it is gonna get better in age, the more you play it. Okay, so those are things to kind of think about.
Yeah. Isn't the Oha Kanilea's Oha models, are
Yeah,
they're like
that's another one. I
more
don't know
than
if
a
it's sub
thousand?
thousand though.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know.
around
That's like that's a
that
mic
price
question.
range though. Yeah.
I kind of feel like maybe isn't like the soprano or concert right around 1,000, and then I think the tenor might be like over 1,000,
Yeah.
but like it is
Yeah, I
like
was
that.
gonna say Oha, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to be like Oha,
I
and then it's like $1,200.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is that you probably won't be able to get like a true koa ukulele unless it's like a laminate,
Yeah, that's
under
why.
a
Like,
thousand. Yeah,
bonus
I
points
don't
if you can get it,
imagine.
but I don't know if
Yeah.
you I don't know if you will.
I don't imagine. So like, I guess the equivalent would be acacia, right? In that
Yeah.
400 and below range is like
Yeah.
acacia wood. So
Yeah,
you can
and I
look
know
for
Kala
that.
has a bunch of acacia ukuleles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
I was thinking like, yeah, if you're like dying to get like a solid body tenor, maybe look at, getting one now that's like
Or solid top.
200, 400 solid
Yeah.
top,
Yeah.
or solid, yeah, any like 200 to 400 one from these other brands, and it's like having that kind of sate you, and then hopefully you can save up till when you can get like, okay, it's now my budget is over $1,000 and I can really invest in. And even if you can't get like a brand new, like one of the 4K brands, I'm sure there's like some secondhand markets where you could
Yeah.
find 1 to
That's a great
2K.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
and
like,
yeah.
yeah, used ones. Use kanileas, use kamaku ukuleles. Ones that are made the past like maybe like 10, 15 years are not gonna run you not much money, because you might get a used one for like maybe like just for a little bit over $1,000, and you're gonna get exactly what you want. If what you want is the sound of like the K brands, like a Kamaka or Kanilea, if you're willing to spend a little bit more, you could probably get a used one at that price.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, it's like it's all up to you, and
Yeah,
it really is. I know like people were saying like, yeah, check out Hawaii Music Supply for their like
yeah.
reviews or their sound samples and stuff to get an idea of what they sound like. But then yeah, it is up to
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
to
but I refrain from saying that only because like not everyone's gonna sound like Kalei and Corey.
no
So if you're like,
no
man, like if I get
Yeah.
that ukulele, like it sounds so good, and once
yeah.
you get it, you're like, why doesn't it do that thing? You know?
I mean,
So because their
it's
attack is gonna be different, their
yeah
pressure,
yeah
how they play it, it's all different. And like in the
It's gonna
kind
be
of, I've been to
professional.
that studio, like it's like this the sound equipment that they have might it definitely plays like a big role into it. So I do refrain from making that comment, but I'm not saying that it's not accurate,
Yeah.
but it's just like it is accurate for that equipment, for those guys
yeah.
holding that instrument, but it might don't get sad if it doesn't sound exactly like that once you get your hands on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like take it exactly what it is, a
Yep.
sound sample. You're walking through Costco and somebody hands you one of the tasting samples, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I like this taste. But if you buy the full meal yourself, right, you still gotta cook it, and if you can't cook it like they cook it, it's not gonna come out tasting the same. So yeah.
It's 2 minutes 15 seconds, not 3 minutes 15
In the
seconds.
microwave.
Oh, dang it! My microwave is what is it like 1,000 watts? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
1,500 watts or
Yeah.
1,600 watts, whatever. So
Yeah.
just
Okay.
yeah.
Next.
Well, I think that was most of the questions. This is Uki Society said the best plastic uke, styrene, or how do you say this word?
Bakelite.
Bakelite? Yeah.
TV pal.
TV pals. Yeah. OGs.
Oh geez, TV pal.
OG plastic.
But yeah,
Yeah,
you-
plastic ukuleles.
Speaking of
are
OG,
so
Yuki Society,
popular
he's
now.
OG from Ukulele Underground, man.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if it's a serious question or if it's a joke.
Yeah. But yeah. And like Aaron was saying, plastic ukuleles are so kind of like popular and so like widespread.
Now, yeah.
I
Yeah.
honestly like try them out yourself and buy the one you like based on how it looks, because I don't
Right.
know if sound quality is that
Yeah, because
much
what
of a
is the
difference.
criteria? It's like this sounds more plasticky than that one. Like I'm looking for a really like
Yeah.
twangy plastic versus
Really
like
plastic.
yeah. So it just depends on like what your criteria is on what you're looking for in a plastic ukulele. If you're looking for a plastic ukulele that's like this one sounds more like a regular wood ukulele, or like are you leaning towards the plastic side? So that's why I'm like I don't know if it's a serious question, but if I'm gonna be asked like what my favorite one is, I've played TV Pals. I feel like that is the quintessential plastic ukulele sound and plastic ukulele feel,
Yeah.
My budget is $1,000. What plastic ukulele should I buy? It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Kanilea just put out plastic ukulele, the Holo Holo
Oh, yeah, they did.
series. I haven't tried it yet. I really gotta stop into.
Yeah, I
to
think
Scotty's
they
and
said that Scotty's has it, so
Yeah.
I might go stop by and try that out.
Yeah,
I
so
know when
there's-
Mike gets back from his trip.
There's that. There's Kala's Waterman. There's the outdoor ukulele. One of somebody stopped by the academy recently. That guy Aaron,
Had a Waterman, yeah.
and he had a outdoor ukulele, and I played it, and it's like, oh, this sounds like so much better than. Remember, they sent us
Yeah.
prototypes
Yeah.
early
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
and it was
yeah,
really
it
like the
was
neck was boxy,
really
and
tinny, yeah.
there was no sound, no resonance to it, and they just
Yeah.
wanted feedback and stuff on their prototypes. And not like they've come so far, you know.
Yeah,
So,
good
like,
for them. Good for
yeah,
them.
so design of plastic ukuleles has come pretty
We're
far.
we're kind of joking about plastic ukuleles, but Yoda said like, "What's the fluke body made of?" And there are like some brands that are using alternative, like I guess not plastics and not woods either, but like alternatives to make ukuleles too. Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
top is wood, right? Like the
for the
top is either
fluke.
laminate or solid.
Yeah.
You can have a solid top fluke.
Yeah.
I think it's polycarbonate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
And
they're
then
kind of trying to tell you that like it really is just the top. The top is what makes the
yeah,
what makes
yeah.
the sound. Yeah.
the other
This goes back to like a decades old debate about top, back, and sides. If you're
Yeah.
how the back and sides don't actually matter, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
but people swear by like certain wood combinations, so you
Yeah,
can't rule it out, you know.
because I have had I've had ukuleles. Like, I have an ukulele that has it's like the cedar redwood, like on top, like my kanilea, and then Doc Trey actually has one of those as well, like the red cedar top kanilea ukulele. But then the back and side of his ukulele, I believe, is I think it's rosewood, and mine is koa.
Uh-huh.
So like, and it's the same cut. It's from the same log, like the top, and they sound different.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
back and sides of those two ukuleles sound different. So the back and sides like does make a slight difference.
May
I do
make
swear by it. Yeah,
may make a difference.
yeah.
You
But
don't
then
know
again,
how
I
much
don't
of
know.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't know. You don't know.
could have
Yeah.
been in the construction or yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that's the thing that it's like what is it, electric guitar manufacturers, like there's some that
Yeah.
are like the woods matter, it's tone woods, you can get different tones out of different woods, and then a guy
But that thing's
strung
not
put
vibrating.
he put strings across just like two pieces of wood just strung like this without anything in between, right? It's just like something held in tension, and he played it, and he's like, if you have the plug-in or if you have like the
Yeah.
jack, the pickup, and you can still make sound, and you like fully played like a guitar lick on it, he's like, nobody's gonna tell me that this does not sound like a telly or whatever.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, but that's talking about solid body electric
Yeah.
guitars.
But
yeah.
it's kind of the same thing though, where it's like just in the music world, you just hear so much of these
Yeah.
discussions, right?
Yeah.
And it's like people very rarely have like a very clear understanding of it. It's a lot of times it's like things that are spread over a long period of time, so it just keeps going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then
Okay,
people
any
were
other questions?
people were also mentioning Blackbird, and I wanted to bring that up too because Blackbird is
Yeah.
they're using alternatives too, right? Like their what is it called, eco that they're using for their
Oh yeah, blackbirds. Yeah, they used to do carbon fiber, and they moved into their proprietary ECOA blend, and it's like
Yeah,
a
this
linen based blend.
is it Kloss that makes the carbon fiber ones now?
Yeah,
There's-
yeah. There's a
Yeah.
popular one.
I think there's a couple brands,
Ukuleles.
right, that are using carbon fiber too and trying it on. And stuff.
I don't know.
But I think
we-
that's
we've-
not plastic. I think like it's
we've
yeah.
covered it before though. Like a lot of the ones that are saying it's like a carbon fiber, but they're actually plastic. It's just like I don't know. I'm very skeptical about
Yeah.
people who are if it's not,
Not even touch it. Just
yeah
not touch
if
it.
it's not carbon weave with I don't I can't recommend. There are a lot
right.
a lot of
But you'll play
plastic.
what you like. Play what you like. Play what you like. You're like, I have one of those. What's Aaron's problem with them? Play what you like. If it sounds good, sounds good. That's all that matters. Next question.
Yeah. I think that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Sure. I was a little bit late, so I figured, I'll answer like one or two more.
Oh, somebody was asking about the strings, the Worth low G strings that Peace was promoting.
Gentleman Future from Korea, did you ever get those strings? Have you tried? Yeah, yes, we tried. Did you watch that? I'm sorry for being rude. It's like, did you watch that? Like, yeah, we talked about how we even showed the strings. We showed an ukulele with with those strings attached to them. Yes, we've tried them, and yes, I think I said I liked them. Like
They're the
because I
best
do.
low G's that you have
Yeah,
ever
like
played.
that. I
Yeah.
think you're
We just
just like
We
you're trying to get to the meat of the matter, which is like, are you guys gonna get them in? Like, and that question was a lot more complicated than we thought. Okay, so there's a few hurdles before we stock them, but as far as peace and like and those strings goes, they're willing to to have us carry them and bring them over, but us carrying them is has a few hurdles to it that we can't really talk about, but it is not like peace or
work.
insane or it's not them that's like holding it up or anything like that. It is some like logistics, really, just like some stuff behind this, behind the scenes that makes it a little bit more complicated for us to carry them. That's all. So just be
Yeah.
patient. If it comes, and it comes. If not, then we tried.
Yeah. I've been getting spammed in the email about those strings. Yeah. Yeah. No, we don't have them yet, so
Yeah.
sorry.
But if anything, I might just ask Peace, like, dude, can I just buy a bunch and you just send them to me? Can you just do that?
I
Like,
did I did hear that there was somebody in our UU forum that
yeah,
had a friend living
in
in
Korea?
Korea that was
Yeah,
able to pick up
secure
a
some?
set, yeah,
Wow.
and send it to him. So I don't know if he got it yet, but yeah.
Did they do a follow up with that?
I'm not sure. I didn't check.
You know what though? It's like so many people. These strings they're great. I like them, but so many people are like getting so hyped up about the strings. They're like,
It's kind of
"Arr."
our fault though.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
But then I also feel like almost like when if we do get them in and people try them, then they're
Yeah.
gonna like I don't know if people are gonna be like they're not as good as these guys said they
All
were.
that.
Or and it's
Yeah.
like we've also said too, right? Like people
Yeah.
already have low G's that they like, and if you like your low G set, that's totally
Stick.
fine. Just
Yeah.
stick to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just
Yeah, although they are.
See, there's a hype again. We're like, well, like
Yeah.
your strings sound good too, I'm sure. But I mean, these are amazing.
I'm
But I mean,
yeah.
but you really gotta try these because they're great.
Every but every time we say something like this, right, is
Yeah.
like then people get them or something, and then they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it didn't work for me" or something, and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
Results may vary. Mileage may
always
vary.
what we say. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, Zempic works for some people, Kai, but not everyone.
Yep. I mean, and isn't that the whole point of the podcast? It's opinions, not
Yeah.
facts. It's mostly opinions, so take it
Yeah.
everything with a grain of salt. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
any other questions?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to learn how to play ukulele, check out ukuleleunderground.com. Ukuleleunderground.com is where we teach how to play the ukulele. We've been around for almost 2 decades now, so we've been bringing quality lessons to the internet since 2007. So please check out ukuleleunderground.com. We have tons of lessons, tons of discussion, and tons of ukulele content there over at ukuleleunderground.com. If you want more, if you want some premium content, you can check out UU Plus. Sign up for UU Plus to take your ukulele playing to that next level that you want to take it to. We also have shop.ukuleleunderground.com if you want to pick up some Ukulele Underground merch, if you want to represent and carry the Ukulele Underground colors wherever you go, or to your next ukulele club. You can get Ukulele Underground apparel and some merch over at shop.ukuleunderground.com. You can also make a friend or 50 over at forum.ukuleunderground.com. There's tons of people there discussing, talking, any and all things ukuleles. So make sure you check that out. You never know, you might find an ukulele club in your area that you didn't know about, or an ukulele gathering, or whatever. Okay, so just check out forum.ukuleunderground.com. If you want in-person lessons here on Kauai, aldrine.com, aldrine.com. If you want merch, Aldrine Guerrero merch, you can go check that out as well. We have a few shirts available there, including the AG Ukulele Academy t-shirt. So you're like, I can't go there like in person to Kauai, but I do want to show support. Just get like an AG Ukulele Academy shirt and just wear it to your ukulele club. And you're like, hey, well, I took lessons from Aldrine online, So you can go check that out, aldrine.com. Okay. Anything else, gentlemen?
Yeah, that's oh, Matt's in the chat. He just came back from NAMM. Yeah, we should probably get him on and ask him about NAMM, because we haven't gone in forever. Yeah. Yeah, and I think
I was following the NAMM threads. Other than like a few new brands, I think that's why we stopped going. We're just like, we're reporting kind of the same stuff, Like I haven't seen anything, Like, I mean, I hope to be corrected, but I didn't see anything like that innovative really, other than like, oh, this uke sounds good, like this uke sounds good as well, or I didn't see anything that was new, or like any kind of brown. Like I was there. I remember like our first years there were just like, this is amazing, and this, like, look what they're doing with this, this ukulele, or this brand is making ukuleles now and they sound great, or this, like, or this brand is making ukuleles and they're terrible, So it's like, and now it's just, yeah, it's a good sounding uke, Other than that, it's like, show me anything that's kind of new. But
I think NAMM is possibly one of the worst places to hear a good sounding ukulele, because it's so hard to hear over everybody else. So it's
and it's full of like, like people demonstrating the instruments. So you got guys, like, that are really good, play. It's the same thing as like kind of, like hearing the an ukulele played by like Clay and Corey, for example, and it's like, that uke's gonna sound good. Like, I don't care if it's a terrible, like ABC ukulele, those guys are gonna make it sound good. Okay,
they had the right idea when we were the last time that they were there, or we were there. They were there doing sound samples in like the hotel room instead of in
hotel
NAMM.
rooms. The hotel rooms. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's that. But as an ukulele player, as a consumer, not just as a teacher, I'm looking for, for something that was gonna wow me. I followed a lot of my friends went, and didn't see any kind of notable ones that that I saw, honestly. It's Aldrine's Internet NAMM review. Watching NAMM videos from a bunch of our friends is just like, it's all right. It's all right.
Well,
unless Matt can tell us like, oh, if there's this uke, I hope to be corrected.
Yeah. Well, he was there playing for Oli. It was like, because I think Matt is gonna do like a baritone album, or recorded a baritone album on an Oli. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think, like, even when we did go to NAMM, though, like, that was the best part, right? Is just meeting people more than like the products or everything.
Hanging out with people.
Yeah. But see, that's why we're just like, we can see those guys like wherever. So do we need to go?
Yeah.
It was expensive.
The best part was meeting people, hanging out with people, and then going to downtown Disney to eat lunch on the last day. Yeah. That was the memorable part, right? So,
Yeah. So, but I heard Conductors back. Like they did a booth this year. So
they were there.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe NAMM is picking back up, but I need to see something that wows me. Maybe like I just haven't seen anything innovative in a long time. So I'm just looking for something innovative. Let me know. Let me know if you guys see any kind of reviews on an ukulele that's kind of like that. It's fresh. Like I saw Olis, they sound, they look good. I've been seeing them like reviewed from the ukulele site. I'm like, that sounds like an awesome ukulele, but like there's tons of awesome ukuleles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
So let me know, fam. Let me know, chats. How do the kids talk to their audience? Let me know, chat. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a great one. I'll see you Friday for Aloha Friday Live Jam. Hello, everybody. Bye.